And I think that that's like the people who do well, I think are people who are generally curious about it and dig in and try to use it to live better lives rather than the people who basically, try to fight it in some way.
One thing that I really want to ask you about is open sourced.
Yeah.
I think, imagine that we're talking to an audience that has maybe heard that term, but doesn't have any real idea of how that might impact them in the development of AI.
Yeah.
How would you explain the reasonable debate that people in your field are having about this right now?
Well, I think there are two pieces. So what does open source mean? It means that people can build a lot of different things, right? So at a high level, I look at the vision that a bunch of companies have, right? So OpenAI, Google, they're building an AI, right? Like one AI that I think in general, they're like, okay, this is going to be, it's like they think you're going to use Gemini or ChatGPT for like all of the different things that you want to interact with. And at a high level, that's just not how I think the world is going to go. I think we're going to have a lot of different AI systems, just like we have a lot of different apps. I think in the future, every business, just like they have a website and a phone number and an email address and a social media account, is also going to have an AI that can interact with their customers to help them sell things, to help them do support. There's a question of, okay, do you want a future that's fundamentally kind of very concentrated and where you're interacting with kind of one system for everything? Or do you want one where a lot of different people are building a lot of different AIs and systems, just kind of like you probably didn't want there to be? It's like a richer world when there's a diversity of different things. So that's one piece, is just giving people the ability to build it themselves. What open source does, it makes it so that everyone can take and modify the model and build stuff on top of it, which is different from the kind of closed and centralized approach. Historically, I think what we've seen with open source is actually the opposite, which is that this is not the first open source project. This has been a thing in the industry for decades. And I think what we've traditionally seen is that open source software is safer and more secure, largely because you put it out there, more people can scrutinize it because they can see all parts of the system. But it turned out that it's sort of in this counterintuitive way that by adding more scrutiny to the systems, the holes became apparent quicker and then were fixed. I actually think you just get a kind of smarter and safer model for everyone. I think that the history of open source and the software industry generally would suggest that open source is going to lead to a more prosperous and safer future.